To order. This is the Boise Parks and Recreation Commission regular monthly meeting. We've got a hybrid format with some folks online. So can we have a roll call?
Faber, Carter,
Here.
Johnson, here, Raber,
Here.
Rosiska,
Here.
Stidham,
Here.
and Urban. Here.
Okay, so we'll move to new business. Looks like the first item is approval of the April 21st, 2022 minutes. Do I have a motion?
I also move that we approve the April 21st, 2022 meeting minutes. Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, I'll call for a vote on that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. And now we've got, the second item is the fiscal year 2023 fees and charges. And I think we'll have a presentation on that and then a public hearing.
Thank you, President Carter and Commissioners. I'm here today to talk to you about FY23 fees and charges. Before I get into the details, I wanted to give an overview of, oops, sorry. Oh yeah, it's right. I thought it skipped forward, sorry. An overview of what the amount of revenue we received before the pandemic hit. So you'll notice in FY19, we brought in $10 million. In FY20, we shut down right before spring break. So we had a great fall, winter, and then we shut down and we were able to bring in 6.96 million in FY20. In FY21, we opened back up and then we shut back down again. So we were able to bring in 9.49 million. And I wanted to show the comparison of April of 21 compared to April of 22. Our registration, we were able to have some summer programs, but it was very limited. And people didn't want to wear masks inside. So we didn't have a lot of programs going on, but we tried to open it up as much as possible. But you'll notice that our golf courses did well, zoo did well because they were outdoors. Our cemeteries have been breaking records. In FY21, we had 177,000. At the end of April, already in 22, we have 234. It's people buying lots, more than actual burials. So I thought that was interesting. You'll also notice that in 21, Idaho Ice World was only open for a few months and we closed down. And then in 22, we've been open since October 1, and they've already brought in 1.44 million. So in 23, when we were looking at the revenue projections for FY23, we were conservative because we were still in the pandemic and we didn't know what the economy was going to be like. So the 10.9 million could be a little conservative. I also wanted to let you know what we plan on doing in FY23 with our picnic reservations or our reservations outdoors. We currently have time blocks that are 4-hour time blocks. But we've heard from our patrons that they like to reserve the site at noon and at 5 to have a lunch picnic or an evening picnic. Well, it's not open before noon because we have cleaning between 11 and 12. And then we have cleaning between 4 and 5. So we just tell them they can come in and drop in, but they might have to step back if cleaning needs to be done. So instead for FY23, we want to start a program that the time is 5 hours long and it will be from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. or all day. And this will also help with our cleaning because we have so many cleaning sites up above that we're currently doing time blocks for custodial staff to get in and clean versus the new method. If we use that same if we use the same amount of reservations that we did the current way versus the new way, we'll bring in about a 12% increase. I also wanted to let you know that due to the additional restrooms that we have and the events that we have in our parks, we are asking for 2 FTEs in FY23, one for custodial and one for special events to help cover the cleaning. So due to changing the way our fees are listed, we had to change the name of the fee. So we have 542 fees. We ended up deleting 68 fees, adding 40 fees. And most of those were due to the name changes because how we're doing our reservation sites. With the change fees that we have, the 342 change fees, we project that we'll bring in $625,000. Out of that $625,000, 236 of it is from the golf courses. They plan on increasing their green fees by $1.89, their annual passes by $200, and then their cart rental fees by 94 cents. By doing that and some other minor fees, they plan on bringing in $236,000. The zoo plans on bringing $266,000, and by increasing their admissions by 75 cents, and then their youth group fees by $1.75. I do want to mention that with the youth fee at the zoo, that hasn't been increased since FY20, and with the conservation fee going up to 75 cents, the total amount would be $5 for a youth to attend the zoo with their group. That is comparison to Discovery Center is $6. The aquarium is also $6, and then the Idaho State Museum is currently at $3. I also wanted to, with the zoo's fees, they are asking for 5 additional staff for next year. They currently have temp staff for custodial, so they're asking for a full FTE for custodian, additional help at the front gate, and then 2 zookeepers, and then an animal care program FTE. So with their increase, that will help cover that, and also some upgrades in the zoo. I wanted to mention that the non-residents are charged an additional 55% of the resident fee, except at regional locations. And our regional locations are at the zoo, the golf course, Idaho Ice World, Foothills Learning Center. So we do not charge them the additional 55 on drop-in fees, but if there's classes, they will get charged. So that is a quick summary of fees and charges. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Karen. I know that's a lot of work every year, and we appreciate it. I also noticed that Councilmember Halliburton has joined us. Welcome. And we will have a public hearing, but if anyone has any initial questions or comments, feel free to weigh in before we open that up.
Hi, I just wondered if you could touch on the scholarship program that we have.
Yes, thank you. So currently we have $200,000 budgeted to distribute for scholarships. So there's a form that we have online that families who are in need can fill out, and they submit it. And they have up to $500 that they are allocated to pick whatever classes they want to attend. So it could be golf, it could be play camps. We also work with the school districts, and the counselors are able to give 100% on an individual, and we don't ask for them to fill out the form. We will go with that, but I'll let Doug talk a little bit more on that.
Mr. President, commission members, you're doing perfectly fine. Karen, I just wanted to add that we also have scholarship program for Zoo Boise, and I believe we mentioned it to those that were in the subcommittee meetings, that we provide that through. So it would be because it's daily admissions that we're scholarshiping, it would be a heavy administrative burden to be able to track those. So we give that funding to LADA, and they distribute that on our behalf. And we provide $10,000 a year that goes to just daily admissions for Zoo Boise. So as you're looking at the fact we do want to raise fees at Zoo Boise to help cover some additional expenses there, we also are still providing that $10,000. And I don't believe, Karen, there's been a year that they've used the entire $10,000, but so I just want to make sure that that is out there. And then Karen had mentioned the scholarship program. I think it has grown significantly from when we instituted it some 20 years ago. I believe the last full year pre-COVID, we did somewhere around 16,000 scholarship activities. And I think the very first year we started the scholarship program, we did 244. So it is a program we should be very proud of. And I'm glad, Commissioner Johnson, you bring that up because it is a vital part of making our programming that we offer the community affordable and accessible to all.
Any other questions? Okay, and I'll just make the comment. I know we're sort of costs are increasing, and I know that we strive to balance revenue generation and recuperating the cost of running the programs with keeping the fees affordable. And I think we've struck a pretty good balance there. We've got to make some increases, but as a whole, the fees remain very cost effective and affordable and reasonable. And I think the services that are offered are definitely high value, even with the increases. So I appreciate everyone's work. So I guess we will open the public hearing. I don't see anyone here in the audience. Chloe, can you check and see whether anyone's online for us?
Yeah, Commission President, we have one attendee online. Looks like George. If you are wanting to testify on these, the FY 2023 fees and charges, please feel free to use that raise hand function on the Zoom. Otherwise, I will give you a moment to have that chance, but it does not look like there's anyone willing that is here to testify. So you are good to close the public hearing.
Okay, perfect. That sounds good. Having no one present online and no one present in the auditorium here, we will close the public hearing.
Okay.
Now,
I'm sorry.
Go
I
ahead,
was
Karen.
just also, President Carter and Commissioners, I was going to give you an overview of what we are submitting for FY 23 capital projects, just to give you an idea of what we are submitting to council. So for our major equipment, we're asking for $1.3 million. Out of that, the department vehicles, and a department vehicle could be a mower, could be a dump truck, tractors, anything like that, and also the vehicles that are on the road. Golf course equipment is separated out because they need to have their profit covers their equipment, and which is mostly mowers or any special type of rollers or whatever they need to maintain the grounds at the golf course. I do want to note the golf carts are not in capital equipment because capital equipment is $10,000 or more for an item, and a golf cart is less than $10,000. So that is paid for out of their O&M. And so then the Idaho Ice World is requesting a sound system. The pool shade structures, we would like to put some shade structures at Bora and Fairmont Park. Pool, and then zoo equipment is for some vet equipment, and an animal crate is what they're asking for. For major R&M, we're asking for $5 million. We have reoccurring projects, and the reoccurring projects come to about $2.7 million. And every year we have court replacements or playground replacements. Next year for the playground, we're looking at Fairview Park. And then we always are updating our greenbelt repairs or bank repairs, pool repairs, and so on. So the Esther Simplot Park pond remediation, we're still trying to get that worked out so we don't have to close those ponds. You'll notice on Julia Davis Park roadway, we're currently doing phase 1, and that you will see work done on the east end of Julia Davis. This will be for phase 2, which will be between the zoo and the boat house facility, and the pond area is where we'll concentrate next year. And then the Whitewater Park repairs, that's for phase 1. We're working on the wave shaper to make it more functional with the river flow, and then improve safety associated with the maintenance. Whoops, how do I go back? There it is, sorry. So for the capital part of it, these are the projects that we will have for new parks or new pieces of amenities. And these will all be funded out of impact fees is how we're requesting these. Bora Park, we have 5 acres that's undeveloped. Currently, we are planning on putting in a ball field and possibly a disc golf area. Primrose Park is Gary Lane. It's 1.5 acres, and we finished the master plan, and it's expected to include a playground, a fitness area, and open space. But we will be working with the residents based on the funding on what we can put in. Same with Magnolia Park. That is an 8-acre park that was greened up in 2018. And the master plan calls for a playground, restroom, a dog off-leash area, and a splash pad. And there we will also be working with the residents to see what we can put in with the funding that we have available. Spaulding Ranch is off of Cole Road, and it's a 20-acre site. And the amenities that we would like to put in would be a vehicle access, parking lots, irrigation, and utilities. So that's what we're asking for our capital projects for FY23. So.
Got it. Thank you, Karen. So at the risk of being unnecessarily line drawing here, was this capital improvements presentation supposed to be part of the public hearing? Should I mean,
No.
okay,
So
it's just the fees and charges.
Public hearing.
And
I think
that's
Karen
what-
just wanted to get that out of the way before you go ahead and go back and vote now.
Yeah,
Call for a motion on the fees and charges.
on the fees and charges. Okay, that sounds good. And it looks like this is a recommendation we're making to city council.
Mhm.
So the motion would be to recommend adoption of the fiscal year 2023 fees and charges.
Correct.
And do I have a motion?
Sure. I'd be happy to make a motion to recommend adoption of the fiscal year 2023 Parks and Rec fees and charges to City Council.
A second? Any discussion?
I'll mention real quick, just an amazing number of fees and detail and attention that needs to go into this, Karen, which you do annually, and a wonderful job of it. So just thank you for your time and being so attentive to this and being caring for the community to keep these fees in line with what people can afford. And obviously the service is way out performs the cost here. So just a wonderful part of our city that gets well used, and we thank you for your organization.
Any other discussion? All right, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I think that motion carries. And then third on the agenda is a presentation from Bonnie on the Communications and Marketing Division. And I think this is just an update. So go ahead, Bonnie.
Thank you, Commissioners and Councilmember Halliburton. Thanks for joining us. My name is Bonnie Shelton. If we haven't met before, I am the Superintendent for the Communications and Marketing Division, which is the newest division within Parks and Recreation. We actually were created 2 years ago, right before the pandemic shut everything down. So I feel like this year is kind of our first year of being full steam ahead, and all of our communications don't surround closing, reopening. As you can imagine, there was a lot that went into all of that, but I'm excited to have this opportunity to talk to you about all of the projects that we're working on and some of the different outreach opportunities that we've had with the public, and really just get to brag about the work that we do in communications and marketing. So first, this is my 6th year with the city. As I mentioned, this division was only created 2 years ago. So I started as the communications manager, and we've just slowly grown, as you can imagine, with the portfolio that we have in this department. We're a bit unique in our division. And when I say we, I mean the 2 of us employees that are in my division. I have a teammate, Sarah Collings, who's basically my right hand that helps with all of these projects. So when we walk through everything that we do, the 2 of us really are behind all of the work that we do with the other superintendents and their divisions and all the facilities that we manage. So you'll see some photos on here from the foothills, ridge to rivers. We do ribbon cuts for parks. We help with events in our parks. And then the outreach work that we do for our park master planning, signage that you'll see in our parks and facilities that all runs through our division. And we work closely here with community engagement at City Hall with their designers and just making sure that we're following the same style guide and standards that the rest of the city is following. Sorry, I haven't presented here in a while. So just to give you a little list of everything that we oversee, overall communication strategy for the department and major initiatives that could be the Happy Trails campaign that we did for Ridge to Rivers, and the different special management strategies that we had a pilot program for last year. That was all our outreach efforts. Media relations, so pitching stories to reporters, answering their questions. That's why we call Director Holloway, Hollywood Holloway, because I'm technically his agent. So just trying to tell stories about the good work that our team is doing. So we handle all of that. Marketing of parks, programs, events, and facilities. So we handle our marketing plans, any materials that our facilities or programs need. That could be a logo, it could be a brochure, anything that you see at the Boise Depot. We work on all of that. The activity guide, which I brought copies for you all, or I should say Chloe did for you today, because she's the best. We actually went through a revamp of that a few years ago. And so we've had great response to the updated guide, just much more user-friendly. We worked closely with parents on what they would like to see, how they would like to use that guide, and improving our online experience for signing up for classes, camps, and programs as well. Community outreach, so all of our neighborhood meetings, park master plan meetings, the park designers work with us to do those notifications and host those meetings, gather the feedback, and then incorporate that into our planning. Public meeting coordination and execution for a variety of things. As I mentioned, park signage, event planning. So we work closely with special events in our department to do anything from sponsorships to working with planners for those events, any signage that they may need, and promotion of things that we are sponsors of as well. And then the website. So all of the Parks and Recreation pages that are on the city website, we oversee all of that content and are updating it on a daily basis. And then social media, all of the pages for Parks and Recreation, we are the content creators, the posters. We're having that two-way communication with residents all the time. And then internal department communications. So we actually work closely with Karen Bledsoe and administration to share information with our coworkers on what's going on in the department. And we've amped up those efforts just to make sure that everyone that we work with knows everything that's going on to the best of our ability every week. I wanted to highlight this past summer registration from April because it was bonkers. We didn't really know what to expect. This was our first guide and season where we were kind of back full steam ahead since before COVID. So I pulled some numbers comparing 2019's first day of summer registration to this year, 2022, and we doubled the number of activities in one day. On that first day that we're signed up for. We doubled our revenue for that first day, and it just continued from there. So from my perspective, I think that shows not only are people hearing about our programs, the quality of our programs, we're doing a good job of getting the message out that way, but I think people are just ready to get back out. They want to see what's out there. Our programs are affordable, they're accessible, and what we're offering is valuable to the community. So to me, this was really a good show that we're moving in the right direction. And yeah, we're just very popular, which is always a good thing. From the marketing, advertising, and brand management side, as I mentioned, we really do have a hand in everything that the department does. From a look and feel perspective, a communications perspective, I like to think that we are really helping our staff make a good impression and helping people have a good experience when they come to our facilities. So from helping open the new Gorangosa exhibit at Zoo Boise, working on the Happy Trails campaign, you'll see a logo for Boise Outdoor Preschool that's brand new that we are just launching a new brand for that program it's grown exponentially over the last few years. We definitely found a place in the market that was missing, and we have expanded that program. They're all full, our sessions for outdoor preschool, and the kids and parents love it. So we wanted to give them something that they could latch onto. We actually just gave all the kids t-shirts for their graduation this year, and I got some really cute pictures, but I just love having those connections with our customers, and it just helps them have even better feelings about the programs that we do because they have that visual connection to it, which I think is cool. And then also I work on all the marketing and branding for the golf courses. You'll see a picture of the Whitewater Park there. When we opened phase 2, we did a big celebration ribbon cutting that all runs through our division. And then things like 50 years of the Boise Greenbelt, a 3-day celebration with lots of events and things. That was all our planning, campaign, execution, of course, with help from the department. But just working closely with Director Holloway, I think one of the things when I came on 6 years ago, the goal was, how do we not only share stories about everything that our department is doing, but connect that back to the Parks and Recreation brand, even if all someone thinks is, oh, I'm going to head to Zoo Boise. How do we subtly, but in a very visual and instinctive way, connect that to the affordable, great reputation that Parks and Recreation has? So we've really tried to do that over the years, rather than people thinking, oh, I'm just going to Ice World. Oh, that's a Boise Parks and Recreation program. They have scholarships. Just really trying to add in some more layers to the stories that people tell when they talk about going to one of our facilities or participating in one of our programs. I mentioned the website. This is a huge content beast that we have to feed all the time, but we're really trying to be mindful of how we build pages, making them accessible. I've been working with Sierra, who oversees a lot of our accessibility work in community engagement here at the city, to create some more ways for people who have different disabilities or visual impairments to access our information, because it can be really difficult if you're trying to find an accessible trailhead and you don't know where to go on the Ridge to Rivers website. So we spent a lot of time over the winter when things are slower going through all of the content on the Ridge to Rivers page. We amped up the descriptions about the trails, if there's accessible parking, all of that's easy to find, and then sharing that with the city's cross disability task force. And they really helped us create a lot better product. We also just launched an accessible recreation page on our website that gives people information about our accessible playgrounds, what parks have better parking and actual wide paths where they can get to a shelter. Just trying to make it easier for anyone, no matter what their ability level is, to access our not only parks, but facilities and all of the things that we love living in Boise for. Just making sure that everyone, no matter their ability level, has equal access to those, which is huge for us. And then we've started something new over the last few years. We always have so many projects going on. And if it's not in your neighborhood, you don't necessarily know what's happening. Or you head to a park and something's closed and you just see construction trucks and you wonder what's going on here. So not only improving our on-site signage and information when people see our workers out there or our contractors, but also matching that to the website. So we always create a project page now when we have a major project going on. You can see some examples there. There's work going on in Julia Davis Park. So we create a web page that has all the information there. All of our signage points to that. We've been using QR codes so that people can easily pull it up on their phone on site. And we've had really good success with this, not only from our division's perspective, just getting the word out about everything that we're doing, but our front desk workers, if someone calls, they know exactly where to go on the website. They have all the information to share. They don't have to get pushed off to another person or transferred. And it's just really helped streamline that process of trying to keep people informed anytime we're out working in the community. And a big part of our work in communications and marketing is community outreach and engagement. We are very mindful that people take a lot of pride in their parks and their trails and obviously have a lot of passion for them. We're lucky to have a very involved and engaged group of residents, no matter what project that we're working on, because the things that we do are very important to people, which is very cool. So you'll see a picture of Lowell Pool. We have embarked on the last 7 months, a pretty broad public outreach project, gathering feedback on Lowell and South pools. They are both older, aging. Studies have shown that they're deficient in many areas and they're not ADA accessible. So before we figure out or work with mayor and council to decide what the future of these facilities are, we wanted to talk with the community about what they think about them, what they find valuable, what they'd like to see. And we've had great response. We've had more than 4,500 individual responses to the various things that we've done, including a survey. We had open houses. I have to give props to Commissioner Johnson because she came to the South open house, which was great. And that's been a really interesting project to work on. And I'll be interested to see kind of how things move forward. And I'm sure we'll be updating you all on what the plans are for those facilities as we move through the process, but some really interesting conversations there. Upper right, Karen mentioned it, Primrose Park, which you all know as the Gary Lane Park site. Mayor McLean just announced the name for that park at her State of the City yesterday. And the name was chosen based on a native plant to Idaho, primrose, that we will incorporate into the pollinator garden there. And we've been doing a lot of work to promote pollinators in our parks and open spaces, not only for bees and other insects, but it helps us meet our America the Beautiful goals and our conservation goals in our parks. And it just is a different maintenance technique and water needs from turf that you would usually see in a park. So we're excited about that, and we'll be working toward building out Primrose Park this year. And then just to mention again, the pilot trail program through Ridge to Rivers, that was a huge lift. We had great response, and really it was a community-led change on 4 popular trails in our foothills system. As you know, through COVID, we had very high rates of use. I mean, I think tripled use of our trails in the Ridge to Rivers system. And so really trying to meet the needs of our users of what kind of experience they want to have with more and more people heading out there. How do we be good stewards of these trails? And the community really guided the different management strategies that we did there. And so that was also a really cool project to work on. And then the last photo there is the Pathways Plan, which was adopted, and I'm sure you'll be hearing more about, but really trying to incorporate more pathways in the city, link them to parks, other facilities that we manage, and make sure that people have easy access without having to get into a car to get to their local park or, you know, Fort Boise Community Center, some of these places that can really be a lifeline for people. Social media has grown even in the last 6 years that I have been here. This is not a huge part of our jobs, but it's definitely an important way that people reach out to us and get information. And honestly, we can share stories about what our team is doing, project updates. As you can see, we have a very good following on all of our platforms. We've worked really hard to be mindful and increase growth in those areas. So we actually have some of the highest follower rates of any city platforms. We're right there up with Boise Police and the city's main accounts, which I think is great. And it's a great way for us to interact with residents, answer questions, and honestly share some feature stories about our crew. We just did a whole series on community forestry, which I don't think a lot of people know is in our department. The storm that happened really amped up their popularity. So that was a good thing to promote, and just let people know if you had a branch fall in your neighborhood, who do you call? Like, who can come and help you? So we try to latch on to those kind of spur of the moment, more breaking news situations and use our social media accounts for that. But it's been fun to see those accounts grow over the last few years and really become kind of a go-to place for people looking for information about everything that we do. And finally, I apologize. I brought copies for everyone of our department guiding principles here in person, but I'll work with Chloe to make sure it gets emailed to everyone. This is something that Director Holloway and I worked together with the superintendents to create a few years ago. And I can just run through a couple of the highlights for everyone in case you don't have it in front of you. But mainly, we wanted to create kind of some thought process and goals behind what our real purpose is as a department. And social equity and inclusion is at the top of that list, making sure that everyone, as I mentioned, no matter their ability level, education level, background, religion, no matter where they come from, they know that they have a place in our parks and facilities and that we are here for them to accommodate their needs. You'll see a picture here from our Adaptive Youth Sports Summer Camp. It's one of the coolest things we do. If you've never been, please reach out to me and I will give you the dates for the summer. It's such a fun, I mean, it just makes you feel so good because the kids have such a good time. And many of these kids just can't access a normal summer camp like an able-bodied child. So they get to come and play tennis and we do art with them, and our staff that works in our adaptive programming, they are just angels on earth. But it's such a fun time and truly shows the difference that we make in the community. So social equity and inclusion, we talk about community and employee experience. I think that we are really proud of the retention rate that we have in our division. We have people who've worked in Parks and Recreation for 40 years when they retire. Like, it's just a place that people love. Doug's pointing at Karen Bledsoe. She's been here a long time. She runs this place, honestly. But we really want to make sure our employees feel pride in the work that they do, know that we appreciate them. That's where that internal communication comes in. Obviously, our environment, we work in Parks and Recreation. We oversee the foothills properties that the city owns. We really want to make sure that we're good stewards of those properties, that we're doing good restoration work, that we're managing the trail system well, all of those quality of life benefits that people love living here, and that our parks are well maintained. And then community health and wellness. I mentioned COVID, it changed a lot for people, and our outdoor spaces really became a haven and almost like a mental health break for people dealing with a lot. And we recognize that and we want to promote that. So whether it's, adding new trails so that we can continue to get people out, adding accessible trails so that people in wheelchairs don't have to worry, what terrain am I going to experience? Is there a grade? If I'm visually impaired, am I going to encounter like a huge boulder or something that I have to try and climb over? And then fostering our urban agriculture opportunities. Karen mentioned Spaulding Ranch. That's going to be an amazing educational opportunity for our staff, not only to promote urban agriculture, but our Boise Outdoor Preschool program could potentially expand there. It's meeting a need on the Boise bench that we don't currently have. So I think we just like to keep these in mind, and I use them in my daily work just as I'm writing news releases or stories or talking to the community about what we're doing. I try to keep these principles top of mind so that everything we're doing kind of ties back to those goals, and hopefully that's resonating with our residents. And that's all.
Great. Thank you, Bonnie. You've got a lot on your plate, and certainly I can speak to a lot of the activities, and gosh, even the employees that answer the phones for the activity guides, they're phenomenal, great service, and really appreciate what you're doing. Any other comments from members of the commission?
Mr. Chair, this is Council Member Halliburton.
Yes, go ahead, council member.
Bonnie, I just wanted to relay a great job to you and the staff for making information about our accessible parks and programs available. I feel like I've gotten a lot of people reaching out and compliments recently about some of the efforts here. And the most recent one wasn't actually a kid with a disability. It was a parent with a disability who hadn't really had the ability to take their kids to some of the parks. They found out about it on social media and saw it, and then they went to the park, and it was the first time they could actually really, get next to the slide and be able to participate with their kids on the playground. So I know it means a lot to a lot of folks. They give me some of the compliments, and they probably don't make it all the way to you, but I always give you and this commission a lot of the credit, because by the time that we approve, a lot of these decisions, the good idea has already been formed and worked out and approved by the commission. So the work really matters, and it makes a difference for folks.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mr. President, commission members, I just would add that my compliments to Bonnie and Sarah Collins in their division. Bonnie had mentioned that this division's been around for 2 years now, and I may not be the smartest guy in the world, but when I recognize we've got good talent, we need to figure out a way to really use that talent in the best interest of the city, and specifically our department, but the overall city. And so that's where I sat down with Bonnie and said that you're more than a communications person. You're more than a public information officer, and we need more than that. And so rather than go out and hire someone who can do initiative building projects within our department, we created an opportunity using Bonnie's talents to be able to make more than just communications. Yes, that's a big part of what she does, but she really oversees a number of initiatives in our department. Like, for example, you didn't touch upon the City of Trees Challenge, which is an initiative by Council President Clegg that Bonnie is the lead on in our department. And she also had mentioned the America the Beautiful, which is to preserve 30% of our land and water mass in our community by the year of 2030. That's another project that Bonnie has the lead on. She did talk about the South and Low pools. I cannot begin to tell you how much work has gone into that in the last 8 months. And it's not just a communications plan. It is a strategy on gathering just not public input, but really working with a consultant on how we can best present to Councilmember Halliburton and his peers the best options on what to do with those two pools moving forward. So it has a lot to do with communication, but more with the strategy on how we compile that, and we present it in a format that Councilmember Halliburton and his team can look at that and then have good advice on how to move forward with how we preserve these pools or what is being done with these pools. So I just wanted to put my plug in. It's a lot more than just doing a press release, although she has to do those too, and talk to the media and work with the media and do, all kinds of things. But she also is an asset to the city wide. She regularly gets pulled into other departments to lend her expertise in a number of different areas as well. And so all the things that President Carter pointed out, a lot on the plate. There is a lot on the plate, but it's kind of fun stuff, right? I mean, it's things that are pretty cool things you get to do in the community that in Parks and Recreation, we're so fortunate that to see the impact we have, and we can measure it, and we can observe it, and then we can figure out how we take what we do and even get better at it and having more impact. And so anyway, I just wanted to let her know that we appreciate all the work she does, and we appreciate her keeping up the great work that she does. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that concludes. We don't have executive session. So I would take a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
A second. Okay, vote all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Thanks.